So, scenario-based training. For scenario-based training to be effective, why it's effective is we've got to cover 3 crucial modules. One, we have to cover the brain. We have to give you a simple but appropriate problem-solving skills. So you get into a conflict, you can determine what is the level of threat, what's the appropriate level of response, so you don't underreact and freeze or overreact and go aggressive, but you can find an appropriate, assertive solution to the problem. So we need to train the brain. We also need to train the body. That watching a video and hearing a lecture is okay, but it has not proven substantially effective to be able to go out there and actually apply something in the real world. So we physically do each and every skill. And finally, we have to address the emotions. And this is probably what really puts this technology aside, above anything else that's out there. Because we are emotional beings. When we get into a stressful situation, the real short of it, and those of you who have been through fast offense, this is a review. But when we get into a tough situation, what happens is we switch from our upper brain, our cognitive high part of the brain where we can problem solve and all that, we're not in that part of the brain anymore. And whether we like it or not, we go down into our amygdala. Now the amygdala is the emotional brain center, which explains why under duress, regardless of training, you see this with military special forces people, with law enforcement, people have been training for years and decades. I was one of them. And all of a sudden we get into a tough spot, we get into that brain, and things change very rapidly. And the problem is, or the challenge, is that most of our training is not done in a highly emotional state. Now I'm not saying you're going to be out here crying your brains out and all that. It's all done through very fun, state-dependent learning. But if you haven't done your training in the adrenaline state, then when you get into that part of the brain, you will not have access to all those great techniques. Now again, I'm speaking, it happened to me with all my years of training, special forces training. Later on I was a bodyguard and blah, blah, blah. I still could not make that direct connection in the heat of the moment as effectively as I should have because I didn't have that bridge of this scenario-based training.